Baby loves my cooking. Baby loves my hair. Baby loves to tease me when baby isn't there. Baby loves to tickle underneath my skin. She know what baby like. Howdy music lovers, Tom from Blakgraz here. That is my song, What Baby Like. And I wrote that as a traditional acoustic blues tune, but today I'm doing it on Chosette. And the reason I'm doing that is a couple folds. I want to talk about the song, but I also want to showcase Chosette again. This guitar is a custom build guitar out of Austin, Texas. And the company is called Custom Build. Vaughn actually is the owner and manufacturer of these guitars, and they are amazing. But the interesting thing about this guitar is not only that it's kind of like a statement piece because it's so different than everything else I've ever seen or ever owned, but that it has become a major staple in my show. I start the show with her, and I've been playing her more and more on more and more songs. And in fact, this weekend when I was at Rax, which was a lot of fun, howdy y'all, and we had people dancing almost the whole night, but I want to get off. I'll get on that tangent here in a second. There was a slight buzz in the sound system. Sometimes that happens just because if you've got a compressor or an air conditioner on the same circuit, or sometimes things are wired wrong. I always use a tester to make sure that the plugs are wired right before I plug in. But electric guitar in particular is extremely sensitive to outside radio frequencies and electromagnetic interference. And according to the pickups that you use, you sometimes might pick up external noise. And curiously enough, all the guitars were getting a buzz, but Chosette, and I usually use my Strat to do this too. If you run two of the single coils on a Strat at the same time, it reduces the sound of the buzz. It reduces that ground loop or whatever that noise is that's coming from outside. But I was able to mess around with Chosette on stage while I was playing the song Blaine and Jen, because she gets a lot of solos in that song. And I found a combination that keeps the buzz down just like the Strat does. So it's kind of cool that I found another secret that Chosette had hidden inside of her. Now, if you're not aware, these are double humbuckers, and usually they'll run and keep down buzz on their own, as well as they run hotter than single coils, but they give you a different tone. So often I'll run one as a single coil and one as a double coil. When I was doing that though, like usual, I was getting that buzz. So I went to the single coil mixed together in the middle like a Strat, like I would with my Strat, and the buzz basically was low enough that it didn't affect my playing. And so that's one of the things, is sometimes when the buzz is so loud, you start thinking about the buzz instead of what you're playing, or worse, you think about what you're playing instead of just playing it. So there's a fine line there. But anyway, it was just really nice that Chosette was able to provide me with that kind of noise reduction. Again, another example of why I love Vaughn's work, but also why I have a soft spot for this guitar now. And it's actually interesting because the neck is thicker, like a Les Paul, whereas the Strat I have has a little bit thinner neck. So it took a while to get used to this one, this broader space across here and the different feel. But now that I'm very glad that I got used to it. It's a really beautiful, beautiful instrument, and it makes great tones, and I've used it for a couple recordings too. But anyway, so that's Chosette. The song that I was doing is interesting because it's just a blues in E. I'm just doing E7 to A7, back to E7 to B7, I think it is. But with this really famous blues lick coming down. But I start it with, so a bit low E ringing on acoustic. I'm usually on acoustic for this, which is just all pentatonic with open strings. And then it goes back into the chords, but the cool thing is the bridge. It goes, so it's like a slow feel, kind of a slow, but in the I don't know if it's really a chorus, it's a refrain more. It kind of links things together. It goes into this double time, which is a so it's a slow acoustic blues, but then it picks up just real nicely that double time without being too energetic in between stuff. But the cool thing about it was that I decided, instead of just staying with the regular 1-4-5 for the turnaround, I did this instead, without the mistake. So the last time around, so right there I'm at F sharp minor, and then I go up to A minor to C minor, and then walk it down chromatically, B minor, B flat minor. So it's not a normal turnaround for a blues tune, right? That's the last part of that chorus refrain double time. So it's going. So that's a good example of one of those little jazzy progressive twists I like to throw in stuff to keep it interesting. It makes my performance of it more fun, because I've got this interesting change, and it changes the melody just slightly at the end of that turnaround. And but it's fun because it adds another layer of texture to it, to what Blakgraz is. I'm doing this hardcore acoustic old school blues style, right? But then it's got this really cool chord turnaround, and these chords, just so you know, is if I'm going F sharp minor to A minor, that's a minor third jump. So technically it's almost like a diminished run using minor chords, and then coming down chromatically back down to what you'd think it'd go back to the A, but it comes back down to the E and starts that intro lick again. So What Baby Like by Blakgraz has some really cool twists and turns in it. And now, just real quick, I'll show you the solo for it too, because I just love the melody at the end of the solo. So we're coming out of, which is basically the intro. Yeah, this part. So there you go. Now, why did I want to show you that? Because I just love that part. I love this solo. It's switching between the 1 and the 4. So down to the A, right? Ends on the A with a sus, and then back to the E. A, right? So I'm on the A, which is to the B, sorry, to the turnaround. So I'm walking dominant 7 of the, that'd be the minor third of the B. But all pentatonic, back to the E pentatonic. I just love that part, especially on acoustic. And it's just a different melody that you're not used to hearing in a blues tune, right? That kind of melodic feel over a blues, and then slipping back into that dominant 7 feel. So I just thought I'd share that with you, especially on such a beautiful guitar. Now I also have to mention too, I've got my Railhouse t-shirt on today. So howdy everybody from the Railhouse. We love y'all and we miss you, and we had a blast last time we were there, and hopefully we'll see you again in a few months real soon. So we had a really exciting weekend. We were over at Ivy Park and Rax, both in Georgia, and which is Ivy Park we were coming back to, so we kind of knew what we were getting into there, and it turned out to be a fabulous night. We had this one couple, I think it was Cindy and Mike, right? That was their names?
Yeah.
Cindy and Mike actually had my picks
From last time.
from the last time I was there, and they came out and they brought friends with them, and there were other folks that were there, and the whole staff, everybody had a blast. It was a wonderful, wonderful night. And hey to Brad, really nice guy, and all his friends.
Ian.
Oh yeah, Ian is supposed to come out and stalk us now, apparently. And then Chris and Zach and another Mike or a Dave. But it was just so nice to meet so many people and to see people come back who had seen us before at Ivy Park. And we're scheduled to be back there too for the Wednesday before Thanksgiving next year already.
And we're trying to line up a few other dates too.
Plus, we're trying to line up other dates before then in the springtime of 2026. So this is happening more and more. In fact, then the exciting part about Rax was Macy, who booked me, her mom, Melissa, owns the place. And the lady that works for them, Tara, short firecracker of a girl, as Macy would say it. She was full of energy and so nice. First off, everybody was nice. You know, Roland and JJ and Angel and Yolanda. And I'm trying to remember everybody. I hope I didn't forget anybody. But the point is that the staff had already, like at Melanie's in Tarboro, North Carolina. Like Melanie's, they had already listened to Blakgraz music before I got there. So they were all excited that we were coming. And sure enough, because they were excited and talking about it, there were groups of people who were there in the audience who had already listened to my music before I ever came to their place. Rax, that was my first time there. And so they started dancing. It wasn't immediately, but they were dancing in their seats and singing at first. And Sandra was celebrating her birthday, so it was a lot of fun. Got her up and sang happy birthday for her. But then we got like groups of ladies coming up and dancing on songs and dancing. And it was just amazing. I didn't learn till afterwards that they had looked me up before they came to see the show. So they were eager to see what it sounded like live. Did it really sound that good live? So, talk about a dream come true, an exciting moment. We're starting to have that more regularly where the staff are listening in advance before we get there, so they're excited when we get there. Or the staff have listened and they're talking to customers who go and listen, or the customers just go and listen.
Or the staff knows we're coming back and they're talking it up and telling everybody, man, you need to see the show.
Yeah, that's especially when you're going back to someplace like Ivy Park or all the amazing places we've been, so many amazing venues and wonderful people that we want to see again. So we're starting to have kind of like this momentum build up, and it's so exciting to see that occur because it made it so much fun. Now, if you haven't seen my show, maybe you don't realize that when I start the show, I don't stop for however long I'm supposed to play. Typically it's about 3 hours. And the songs, I've got them programmed in the software so that when one song ends, a lot of the times I'll have groups of 3 or 4 songs that just go boom, song to song to song. I barely have time to take a drink of tea, say thank you, get the guitar or switch guitars, and make sure I'm on the right patch and say something to introduce the song or remind people, hey, I'm Tom from Blakgraz, we're all the way from San Antonio, blah, blah, blah. You only got a few seconds because the drums are going. That means the band is on the way into the song and I got to be ready for the beginning of the song. And what the reason for that is when people are on the dance floor and that occurs, they stay on the dance floor. And it worked. It works amazingly. It worked at so many places we played, but it was nice to see it at a place I've never played before. Never been at Rax before. Didn't really know these folks. They were just getting to know me. And to see them get out there and just keep dancing song after song after song. Now the funny thing is, at Rax, I did 4 hours non-stop singing and playing constant music, unless I had to switch guitars and then hit the song and start going again. They got tired. They were drinking and dancing and sweating, and they'd have to, it was funny to watch them occasionally just need to sit down, take a break, and talk and have fun, and then come back out and dance some more.
Well, most places, including them, are used to bands taking a break. Or several, actually, I should say.
Yeah.
Not one break, like 2 or 3 throughout a night.
So there I am playing for 4 hours nonstop, right? And these folks are just like, oh my gosh, you know, they made it all the way to the end. I had girls up at the end dancing all the way through the end of Dear Mrs. Avery and all the way throughout saying goodnight. But it was, I mean, that's a dream come true. That's a real miracle, having folks just have a good time at our shows. That's exactly why we're out here doing this. That's what we're looking for. You know, so huge thanks to everybody this last week in Ivy Park and Rax. It was a real joy to play for all of y'all. So now on to Rufus. We actually, for Thanksgiving, since we're not close to family and home, we decided to spend some time focusing on fixing Starlink. And as embarrassing as it is to say, I kind of forced this on myself. For a long time now, we've been, when we needed internet, I would walk up and put the Starlink dish up and run the cable down through the driver's side window, just because I didn't want to put holes in the roof again, because I was hoping we could get a new roof sooner than later, but this looking like it's going to be later. Well, in the process of picking up camp, one of the things that I do is I walk around Rufus, check underneath, check for leaks, check the oil, check the water, check the propane, go up on top, undo Starlink or the solar panels, put stuff down. You know, I put everything away. You got to put everything away, because when you're rolling down the road and things are going like this, they have a tendency to fall down and break. Well, for whatever reason, I brought down the cable for the Starlink and put everything else away and thought that I'd got the dish off the top, and I didn't. And we drove from a Cracker Barrel to a cleaners, and then from the cleaners, that was a dry cleaner, we needed a coin laundry to do laundry, to the coin laundry, and then we drove all the way to a Love's where we were going to sleep for the night, got parked, and I went to go put up Starlink, and I'm like, where in the heck's the dish? Then I realized that I had forgotten to take it down off the roof. Well, obviously I went up to look and it wasn't there, which means it had flew off while we were driving somewhere between the Cracker Barrel and all the way to this Love's. Now, I was ready to just say, oh, it's lost. We're just gonna have to buy a new one. That's an investment. I think it's about $300 and some to buy a new dish. And it's just like, all right, well, we're just gonna have to buy a new one, because if it fell off, there's a really good chance it got run over. But then I was like, no, I'm not just gonna sit here and just let that go. We're gonna go look for it. It's gotta be someplace close to those where we drove. Because when I drive Rufus, I drive pretty slow on purpose. He's big, he takes corners slow, we speed up and slow down slow. I mean, we need lots of room. I leave like 8 car lengths in front of people that are between me and people who are in front of me, just for safety's sake, because he's just so big. Now, we can stop quicker if we needed to, but it burns up the brakes. So I don't like burning up the brakes. I'll use the exhaust brake, or I'll downshift, and then at the last bit, I'll apply pressure on the brake pads. As little brake pad pressure as I can to be safe. So I was just like, you know, the way we drive, there's probably a good chance that it might have survived coming off the roof. Well, sure enough, we drove back to the Cracker Barrel and over to the dry cleaners, and then on the way to the coin laundry, Martha started seeing things alongside the road. And so
This was at nighttime. This wasn't daytime when we're looking for it too.
Yeah, it was at night, so it was hard to see. Well, see, she starts seeing stuff, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I've got to slow down, right? She's telling me, slow down. I can't see what that is. I can't see what that is. So we circled back and checked again. There was a plastic bag, a piece of paper, and son of a gun, there in a driveway was the Starlink. We found the dish.
I didn't film it. Didn't want to film it.
And when it came off, I was really upset. I was just downright pissed at myself. When it came off, it came down and must have hit a couple corners and flat on the part that faces up toward the sky, not the part that has the brace, which is good because while that did get scraped up on the front that faces up toward the satellites, the back plastic part was all untouched. So after a couple days of putting Gorilla Glue on the scrapes and such to make sure it wouldn't leak water into the electronics, we plugged it in and checked it, and son of a gun if the thing doesn't still work. Well, all right, now we have to mount it because I can't make that mistake again. Of course, now I've added, for anybody that does RVing or traveling like this on the road for your music, what we call an idiot check at the end of a show is when you've already loaded everything out and you're sure you got everything, but for one last time you walk in on the stage and you just point and you look at everything up in the ceiling and everything. Make sure you didn't hang anything, you didn't leave a stand leaning up against a chair. It's called the idiot check, because once you start down the road, you can't come back. You just have to buy new. Well, I've expanded my idiot check for pulling up camp with Rufus. I used to just walk up or climb up the ladder and lean back and forth like this to eyeball. Is everything up? There is nothing up here, blah, 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 because we'll put up, other stuff too. Well, now I've expanded it to where on my second walk around, because there's a first pre-walk around before I start him up and he starts warming up to air up. Then there's a second walk around I do as a final check to make sure all the jacks are up, the air's up, the engine is, the radiator is getting air through it, the exhaust is exhausting properly, all this stuff, right? Now I've expanded it so I come up the back of Rufus and walk to the front of Rufus on the roof and back again doing an idiot check to make sure I didn't forget anything.
Well, I was going to say, you know why you didn't see it and thought you had already brought it in, because the way that it's mounted, it's lower than if it's propped up with the hinge that it comes with on it. And so you had it just enough where by looking up, it was blocked where you wouldn't have seen it from the front air conditioning unit.
Yes.
So that's what happened.
Yes, the air conditioning unit, when I left it up there, the air conditioning unit was blocking my view, which is why I've expanded the idiot check to including me walking all the way to the front of him now. So Thanksgiving, we decided to go ahead and mount it. But to do that, it also meant taking off the old satellite dishes, TV satellite dishes that were up there. And they were big and heavy and just, we don't use them. So what you're seeing here is the cable from the hole from the one satellite dish. That's a hole that goes right up through the roof. And this is the Starlink cable. Now it's hanging right here because I'm going to run it through the ceiling over into this cupboard here, because there's plugs in there for satellite.
Well, not just plugs, it's also wired to work with an inverter, which we're getting a new inverter too. So that's why it's not fully hidden and everything yet too.
Yeah, but you're getting ahead of me.
Oh, sorry.
So once this wire is up in that ceiling, then I can close up this hole better. And so anyway, the point is we took that stuff off and then sealed it with this tape that's like super, super strong, and mounted Starlink. But what we didn't do, because we wanted to see if it would work without it, we didn't put that final last little bits of caulk. Well, last night it sprinkled a little bit and we had a little bit of water come through. So we're going to go up today.
Hannah's tail got wet. She was not very happy. She was literally on the spot where Tom's sitting. That's where she naps at nighttime when it's dark enough and warm enough in here.
And her tail got wet.
And her tail got wet. She was not happy with me.
So anyway, it's dry enough today. We got some overcast, but no rain until later tonight. So that the caulk will have time to dry. And we're going to seal around the Starlink mount, and we're going to seal around the tape that was holding the Starlink cable down, which is way over from the hole. So the hole comes down with the cable, but the Starlink is mounted over right around there near that vent. And there's other spots on the ceiling where we've had damage before because we just need a new roof, but we're not able to do that just yet. That's an $8,000 investment. But Hoke is going to help us when we hit Florida, and we're going to just keep booking shows and save money till we can get one. But in the meantime, this is working great. Now we know what to do. Our experiment didn't work, so we're going to caulk it more until it does work properly. Now Starlink is mounted, so that won't get forgotten. So the only thing now that I have to put up there is the solar panels for the solar generator that we have behind this, which is just basically a a battery with electronics on it to be able to plug into behind the driver's seat that Martha's sitting in right there.
Well, we might not need the solar for that specifically, which I'm guessing you're going into.
Yeah, she likes stealing my thunder. So the point there is, eventually I won't need to put that solar panel up there because we're getting the proper inverter. We got an inverter at Camping World when we bought, what else was it that we bought?
We needed the converter for when we put in the new lithium battery.
When we put in the new lithium battery, we had to buy a new converter, which is AC to DC. But we had an inverter in there already, but it was only 400 watts. We wanted more because we want to be able to plug in the solar generator, which is just a battery, into these plugs, because when we're driving, that gets charged by the alternator while we're driving, which means it could charge the solar generator while we're driving via the converter and lithium batteries. So why not? It's a 300 amp hour battery. It's definitely more than enough power. Plus, if we're driving, it's getting constantly charged and sending electricity to this plug and this plug over here on the driver's side for the TV dishes that we don't use anymore. So we're going to plug the Starlink into it here so that it can be on and draw from the cabin battery without having to plug it into the solar generator. And when we drive, we can have the solar generator up there and Starlink plugged in, running at the same time if we wanted to, because it's going to be a 2,000 watt inverter. Well, we put a 1,500 watt inverter down there, but it's a modified sine wave inverter, which means that instead of the electric current coming in a smooth sine and cosine wave, it comes in choppy, like squares. And that's okay for simple electronics like electric tools or things like that. But when you get into things like charging sophisticated electronics and small circuit boards and microchips, you need the smooth sine, because otherwise it generates too much heat and can damage the circuit boards. Well, we didn't know that until we got the thing and read the box, right? So we're like, crap, we need to take it back. Well, we're hours away from Byron Camping World where we got the dang thing. So we call Camping World in
Calera, Alabama, which we'll be hitting up next weekend.
Calera, Alabama, where we're going to be there by the 13th. So we call them and they're like, yes, we have one in stock and we'll put it aside for you. And when you get here, we'll just swap out the inverter that you don't need, and you could take the pure sine one. Now there's probably a little bit more we have to pay for it, but that's fine because it'll be more power anyway and it's a pure sine. So then we can charge not only the solar generator, but our phones, the iPad, our computer, everything off of the lithium battery. Because see, one of the things maybe you don't realize is with this camper, when we're not plugged into external AC household electricity, 120 volt AC, a lot of these plugs don't work, the air conditioning doesn't work, and the convection oven doesn't work unless you turn on the generator. Then they work, but then you're burning up propane. But the battery is a 300 amp hour battery, and we've had it now for, I don't know, a week and a half or 2 weeks, and we have never gone below 3/4. It just keeps getting charged again and using we use very little electricity apparently, even when running the heat to stay warm at night or during the day. So it's wonderful, because if we get a second 300 amp hour battery eventually, it's going to be way more electricity than we really could ever use. Which means that then we can start enjoying other things as well. My point being that these two being plugged into the cabin, since we dry camp, we don't have that external source all the time, and we don't want to run the generator all the time. It's nice to have these plugs that we can actually plug in our electronics and keep stuff charged while we're just in a place for a couple days without plugging into somebody else's electricity. It's just really, really convenient. And you're probably watching at this point like, why is that such a big deal? When you're on the road and you're stopping at truck stops and you're stopping at Cabela's and Cracker Barrel and there's nowhere to plug in, and you're looking for where you can do your next dump or where you can charge the solar generator next, or hoping for a sunny day, it becomes a big deal, because when your phones don't work and your computers don't work, you can't make those outbound calls. You can't book more shows. You can't stay in touch with everybody.
Can't do marketing.
You can't do your marketing. You can't promote the shows. That's one of the biggest parts of our job is once we book the show is to actually promote it to get people to know that we're actually going to be coming around. So if you can't do that, well then everything comes to a screeching halt. That's why it's such a big deal. So we had a really, really exciting weekend. It was so much fun and so many wonderful things happened. Plus over the holiday, we got Starlink mounted and now it's just a matter of some minor tweaks to finish the job, right? And we saved ourselves a bunch of money by going back and finding the Starlink dish so we didn't have to buy a new one, and thank God it still worked. So kudos to Starlink. Another thing I want to mention too before I get done, since it was a 3-hour show nonstop that was very exciting into a 4-hour show from 9 to 1 at night, in the morning, that is 9 at night to 1 in the morning. I want to mention again how important this stuff is to me. Royal Velvet. Now we use superfoods from Cultivate Elevate also, and we eat as organically as possible, and we try to cleanse ourselves. We use slippery elm, we use bentonite clay, and we use Celtic salt, all these different things to keep ourselves healthy. But this stuff definitely is the supercharged product that I would recommend for anybody who is looking for all kinds of different things. I mean, better sleep, endurance, better attitude, get out of funks, recovery from a hard workout. I was able to sing both those shows, and the second show, my throat felt stronger. Now remember something, I'm singing and playing, so people think, well, don't your hands get tired and your fingers hurt? And well, yeah, it gets, so you don't notice it when you're playing because you're having fun, right? But I bang on the guitar hard and I stomp my feet, and you can see the speakers and the video swinging around because I'm jumping too much on a wood stage. But Royal Velvet, this stuff, man, every time I got done and I was still wired, and I was watching people dancing and getting tired and then having a rest, and then come up and dancing and getting tired. And by the end of the night, they're just exhausted. It's the 1 o'clock, late, they're tired, and I'm still ready to go. This stuff is what does it. And the reason that's really important as a vocalist, because if you keep your energy up, then you breathe properly and you don't blow out your voice. And anybody, if you've seen my show, I'm not whispering. I'm not singing just in my mid-tessitura where it's real comfortable where I talk. I'm going high, I'm going low, I'm going loud, I'm yelling, I'm hooping and hollering, I'm calling out people's names. I'm going the whole time, right? High energy. And Royal Velvet is a big part of what makes that possible. Now, am I selling it? No, I'm not selling it. I'm telling you, this is what I use to actually be able to withstand being on the road all the time, driving, being on the phone, calling, marketing, working on Rufus, and then getting on stage and going for 4 hours nonstop and being ready to drive 2 hours if I have to. Now, fortunately at Rax, we were ready to do the drive, right? But we didn't have to. They let us stay, so I got to relax. So imagine that kind of energy. Royal Velvet, yes, it's a product and it's a company, and they send us product because we help promote their stuff. But the reason I promote it is because it works so well.
You've been using it for over
15
or 20 years now.
Maybe 20 at this point. Yeah, it could be 20 years
it was
at this
before
point.
we left to go to California and then Texas.
Yeah,
so.
and I swear by it. I mean, and I love the Cultivate Elevate stuff too, and I love all the food and stuff that we get. It all helps. But the Royal Velvet is the thing that I noticed the biggest difference with singing and playing with my hands and recovery the next days. And being able to do another show the next day. I was ready to go Sunday. I could do a show today. That stuff is amazing. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. And when you do, use the code Blakgraz, spelled correctly, so you can get 25% off, even on their auto shipped, which is the cheapest way to get it. And then it comes to you every month, so you never forget. this is something you got to try. You got to have it in your life. It'll make a huge difference. Trust me.
Well, if you have diabetes, it helps with your blood sugar. It helps with hormone balance. It helps with sleep and recovery.
Yeah.
It does a lot of different things for an individual, whether you're physically active or not. We have a friend of ours, I won't name it but he got a free sample from the guy because he saw he was sharing our posts about it. And he had his wife trying it, and she actually did it for a couple of weeks and was really enjoying it. Stopped taking it, and literally within just a couple of days, she felt the difference with her sleep and other aspects of her health. Her shoulder being an issue. And immediately, as soon as she went back on it, there was no more issues. She was sleeping better. There was no pain and other inflammation and challenges like that.
Yeah, so it's an amazing product, and I just love being associated with it. I love using it. It was really a miracle that Jay Schaefer from Royal Velvet reached out to us, because we had been customers with him for God forever, and he reached out to us and asked, "Hey, how's things going?" and blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, we're on the road, so things are a little tight until we can get going again, but we do intend to use it again." He said, "Well, let me send you some for free. Y'all have been customers for so long. We'll just send it to you and get you going." I said, "Well, that's really generous, but I'm not comfortable with that. What if we do an exchange? What if I market for you and you send me what we need, just what we need for the two of us, and we'll just keep promoting your stuff?" And he's like, "Well, that sounds great," especially once he saw how much marketing we do. So it's actually a perfect example of an exchange in abundance. And I'll tell you, if you don't know what that is, it just means that when people exchange something, like if I bought a burger from you, you gave me a burger, fries, and a shake for the cost of just a small burger. And I'm like, wow, this is a great deal. And you feel like it's a great deal because I go and talk about your great food and how generous you were to everybody I know. So you get all that free marketing, right? That's that's an exchange in abundance. This with Royal Velvet is a great exchange in abundance, and here's how. I love talking about Royal Velvet. I love telling people about what it does for me and the effects and the results, the actual measurable results I get. Because me being able to sing and play that long, night after night after night, at that high energy, that's a result you cannot refute. So he gets all of this marketing from us and us talking about it, and I get incredible health, energy, and excitement about making my dreams come true and feeling good in the process of making my dreams come true. Instead of feeling tired, exhausted, fatigued, and, oh, this is taking forever. Why am I not famous yet? No, the whole process is fun. The whole process feels good. All that wonderful energy. It's worth it. It is the best exchange ever. So I hope everybody that watches this video at least gives it a shot. So I think that's pretty much it. It's a lot already. And there's a lot still to talk about otherwise, because we got places that want us to come back and play and places we're going to be going to. But we'll give you more in another update. So everybody, thanks for listening this long. I apologize for kind of rambling on certain parts, but it's been very exciting. Things are really taking off with Blakgraz, and it's thanks to folks like yourself. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to check out all the links down below. We got CDs on sale online. We've got merch online. We've got handmade t-shirts at shows and beer koozies at shows. Please follow us on social media. We're on everywhere. And make sure you follow us on your favorite streaming service, or even better, just download the songs from the Blakgraz website.
And come to a show.
Most of all, come to a show and shake my hand. That's something I'll touch on it more on another video, but just real quick here. This whole AI thing, everybody using Suno to write and produce their music. I don't do that. I do it all myself. I play all the bass parts. I play all the guitar parts. I put in the drum parts. I do all the vocals. I do all the keyboards if there is keyboards. And then when I'm playing live, I'm playing guitar and singing along with the tracks that I recorded. So I'm not using AI to make those tracks sound so good. I did it the hard way. And so I love when people come out and enjoy that hard work. And I really appreciate when people say they were impressed with the show and they loved the way it sounded. So huge thanks to everybody who's been so generous at the shows. And if you really want to do me a favor, If you're interested in helping at all, or you just want to help support Blakgraz or the idea of what we're doing at all, just come to a show. Come out to a show, say you saw us online, shake my hand, and then dance and have fun. That's the most important thing that you could ever do, because AI cannot play a live show. It's just us, right? All right, Tom from Blakgraz, thanks everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing you at a show as soon as possible.